الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن سار على سبيله إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. So continuing our lesson from the book Bulugu al Maraam by Hafiz ibn Hajar rahimahullah. We've been discussing or completed the matters pertaining to Sifatul Salat, but also in addition of those things that are covered or discussed is regarding Sujood Al Sahw. So we started discussion last week regarding some of the masahil or some of the hadith that covers some of those matters concerning Sujood Al Sahw. And we discussed concerning that majority of the ulama of the view that it is to be done in the case of when a person misses something of the wajibat of salat. Other ulama also add that sujood al-sahw can be done in the case that the person of the act of the sunnah act of the salat, it is something a person normally would do. So a person, for example, that salat or dua al-istiftah, regarding the opening supplication of the salat, that if he normally would do this as a normal practice, he'd always stick to it. But on a particular occasion that he missed it out of forgetfulness, then they mention that in that case, in that scenario, the person can do sujood al-sahw because of, even though it's a sunnah act of the salat that is missed. So that's concerning that matter regarding sujood al-sahw. We discussed the first hadith that Ibn Hajar rahimahullah he mentioned regarding this matter, regarding Sujood Al Sahw, and we mentioned that it is mainly there regarding if an error occurs in a person or the person forgets something of the salat, then it is there to kind of somewhat to expiate for what he missed, or as to make up for what he had missed. We discussed before the hadith of Abdullah ibn Buhayna radiyallahu anhu regarding the Prophet Islam that he prayed at Salat al-Dhuhr فقام في ركعتين أوليين, and that he got up, or he ended the salat, or he got up straight from without doing tashahhud al-awwal. So that was the first hadith we discussed, and we discussed some of the ahkam that pertains to this. After the matter they discussed that others have mentioned, or we didn't mention, just to add this matter. So regarding missing the tashahhud and the person going straight up from the second rak'ah and go straight to the third, and they miss tashahhud al-awwal. After things they discuss that regarding that it falls into different scenarios regarding the person getting straight up from the second rak'ah to the third, that it falls into different ahwal or scenarios. The first of those cases of not sitting for the first tashahhud. So from the second the person went straight up in a salat that consists of 4 or 3 rakat. So they mentioned that one, the person missed out of forgetfulness, he missed sitting and went straight to the third rak'ah without sitting. Either the person he went straight up to the third rak'ah and وَيَشْرَعْ في قراءة في الركعة الثالثة, and he started reading in the third rak'ah. So he went up straight to the third rak'ah, but he has reached a point where he started to read immediately. Then he can somewhat either he is reminded or he recalls, but he's already reciting in the third rak'ah. So they mentioned that في هذا حال, in that particular scenario, in such case, the person يستمر ولا يرجع إلى السجود. In that case, the person will continue his salat and do not go back to sujood, or do not go back to tashahhud. Do not go back to tashahhud that he missed. So he just continue on. And that's the call of Jumhur al-Ulama. Jumhur al-Ulama, they mention in this case, the person went straight up from the second to the third rak'ah, and he already started reciting, and he may recall or he's reminded. It is not for him, he doesn't need to go back to tashahhud that he already missed and already in the process of reciting. And that's the view taken by the Jumhur of the ulama. You find concerning Hassan al-Basri that is of those who mention that he should go back. But the qawl of Jumhur is the stronger view. The qawl of Jumhur, the person, there's no need for him to go back, seeing that he already started reciting. Now, a second scenario, and the view of Hassan al-Basri mentioned, if the person is reciting but he hasn't reached the ruku, he can go back. So that's that view. If he's still in reciting, he's still reciting, and haven't per se now move or went to the position or about to move to the third position, he still can go back to tashahhud. But that view is contrary to the view of Jumhur of the ulama. The second scenario regarding the person going from the second to the third and missing tashahhud, they mention أن يتذكر قبل أن يستتم قائما, that a person that he stood up from and missed tashahhud and went straight to the third rak'ah. Now, and in this case, he hasn't completed going in a standing position fully. So he hasn't completed himself or positioned himself in a standing position. Now, so he's still in the process of going up and hasn't complete being in a standing position. In the Jumhur ulama, that they mentioned that in that case, in that scenario, he can go back to tashahhud. Jumhur, they order the person in that scenario, he hasn't complete a standing position yet, so the person can go back, that he can go back. Ahmad ibn Hanbal rahimahullah, so Jumhur hold that no, it can be done as something which is permissible. Ahmad ibn Hanbal rahimahullah, that he hold that the person in that scenario, in this second case, that he has to go back. Is wajib, yajib, and yarja. بناء على قوله أن التشهد الأول واجب. So based upon Ahmad ibn Hanbal, that he holds that the tashahhud al-awwal is wajib, that he holds that the person should go back and complete that wajib that he was about to miss. But because he hasn't stand fully, he's still in the process, halfway or whatever way, he should go back. And so that's based upon Ahmad holding that tashahhud al-awwal is wajib. Tashahhud al-awwal is wajib. And Jumhur hold in this matter again, that if the person was to go back and do the tashahhud, he still does Sujood Al Sahw. So the person getting up recalls or is reminded before he comes to a full standing position, he decides then to go back and go through complete the salat. At the end of the salat, Jumhur of the ulama holds that a person is allowed to do tashahhud al-awwal. Sujood Al Sahw. Sujood Al Sahw. Sorry, afwan. So he's to do Sujood Al Sahw. Even though some of the ulama, and you have others who hold in that case, أنه إذا رجع لم يسجد, that if the person in that scenario was to go back to the tashahhud position and then continue on his salat, at the end he does not need to do Sujood Al Sahw. He doesn't need to do Sujood Al Sahw. That's concerning that particular scenario. A third scenario they mention regarding missing tashahhud al-awwal and going from the second to the third rak'ah immediate without any tashahhud. They mention the third scenario, and yastatim, that a person, he has now, before we discussed it, he was still in the process of going up. In the third scenario, he has now completely gone up. Now, so next to this scenario now, the person now have completed going up in a standing position. With me, Yunus? Mm-hmm. Now, so in that case, but in this condition, before starting reciting, so he came up, but he hasn't started recital. The first one we mentioned, he stand up and started reciting. In this case, he's up, but hasn't started reciting. So in that particular case, the ulama, they have two opinions as to what to be done in this particular scenario. The first, لا يجوز أن يسجد and يجلس, is not for him to go back and to sit, but continue on. Not for him to go back and sit for the tashahhud, but to continue on. And that's the call of Imam Abu Hanifa, wa Malik, wa Shafi, Ahmed fi riwayah. So A'immat al-Arba, they're all of that view. That a person in this scenario, he has already in a full, complete standing position, but has not yet started reciting. Now, so they're all concerned in that case, not permissible for him to return back to the sitting position, but rather continue on and then do Sujood Al Sahw. So that's the first opinion. The second opinion on this matter, أنه أن يرجع ما لم يحضر في قراءة, that it is permissible that he should go back in the third disposition, that he should go back to the sitting position, seeing that he has not yet started his qira'ah, his recital of the Quran or Fatiha.
And so do you Sujood Al Sahw or not? And do the Sujood Al Sahw or not?
And then in this one also he does the Sujood Al Sahw.
That was the opinion, no? The second opinion was the opinion, no? Whose opinion was the second?
The second opinion, قول الثوري وأحمد في الرواية. So a second opinion of Ahmed and also Imam Sufyan al-Thawri.
Which one's stronger? This is the stronger.
We'll come with there.
Okay.
So there are two opinions. So in this case, the person who mentioned three scenario. The first scenario, person have already stand, full standing, but in this case, added to that, he started reciting. We mentioned that scenario. The second one, he was in the process, and that's completed. Then the third, full standing, but hasn't started recital. There are two opinions, returning or not to return. Those who a person should not return and continue on, even though he hasn't started recital, they're based upon a hadith. It's based upon a hadith of Al-Mughira ibn Shu'bah. Al-Mughira ibn Shu'bah and the hadith in the Abu Dawud with Tirmidhi. And this hadith of Shu'bah anhu قال أن نبي الإسلام, the Prophet Islam have said, إذا قام أحدكم, if any of you was to stand, فَلَمْ يَسْتَتِمْ, and he has not complete the standing position, قَائِمًا فَلْيَجْلِسْ, then he should sit. He hasn't completed the standing position, then he can go back and sit, meaning sitting for the tashahhud al-awwal. فَإِذَا إِسْتَتِمْ, and if he قائما, if he's in a full standing position, فَلَا يَجْلِسْ, then he should not sit, meaning go back to tashahhud. وَيَسْجُدْ سَجْدَتَيْ السَّهْوِ, and he should do the tashahhud, or he should do the Sujood Al Sahw. He should do the Sujood Al Sahw. And what's that hadith? So that's hadith that is used regarding this particular matter.
Repeat the hadith, sir.
إذا قام أحدكم, if any of you was to stand, or if any of you in the process of standing and hasn't completed the standing completely, then he can فَلْيَجْلِسْ, then he should sit. Then he mentioned فَإِذَا إِسْتَتِمْ, but if he completes the standing position, is a full standing position, فَلَا يَجْلِسْ, then he should not sit, meaning sitting go back to tashahhud. وَيَسْجُدْ سَجْدَتَيْ السَّهْوِ, and he should make the sajda of forgetfulness, sahw. We said a hadith in Abu Dawud, at-Tirmidhi, and this hadith is under some discussion, but some of the ulama have authenticated hadith, and some of the ulama have all the hadith to be daif. So discussion between the ulama of hadith, is this hadith authentic or not? Some have authenticated hadith and others haven't. Now, so those who authenticate a hadith, they go by this hadith. Now the person already in the standing position, then he should not go back. But if he's in the process, he can go back, and he can go back. So what is it? And this is the hadith that they use. Now, so that's concerning that matter. So based upon this hadith, you can somewhat is the matter if the person, this hadith is, for this mention that the person of complete the process of standing. So this hadith is more in line with the first view. Is more, this hadith will be the evidence more so in favor of the first view. So you have those who authenticated, and of those Shaykh Albani, and also others who hold the hadith to be da'if, based upon some of the narrators inside that hadith, or mentioned the hadith. So that's concerning that particular matter that is mentioned. Also, with this hadith of Abdullah, then also, we discussed also the hadith, so that's something added to that hadith. We discussed the second hadith of Abu Hurairah anhu. We started that hadith, and that hadith concerns Salah ibn Nabi Islam, Ihda Salatayn Ashi. The Prophet that he prayed one of the Salat, a difference between either Dhuhr or Asr. A discussion whether the Salat is Dhuhr and Asr, or Asr. So some narration mention that it is Asr, and some mention it is Dhuhr. And some stipulating which of the Salat it was, whether Dhuhr or Asr, came from Abu Hurairah. So in some narration he mentioned Dhuhr, and some narration he mentioned Asr, and some mention it is Salat al-Ashi, meaning it is either in between those Salat, one of those Salat. Now, the mention concerns not that like a doubt from Abu Hurairah, as sometimes when he mentioned hadith he was convinced or more that it was Dhuhr, and in some occasion he believed it was Asr. Now, but based upon that, he himself sometimes was in between as to which of the Salat it was. But that per se don't have any impact, as both Salat are somewhat very similar regarding the adad, al-rakat, and their sifat. There were mentioned concerning that hadith, that the Prophet that he entered and that he prayed the people, and he only prayed rak'atayn. Now, some narration of Sahih Muslim that regarding the Prophet in this hadith, he mentioned that he prayed rak'atayn for Salat al-Asr or Dhuhr. Now, that consists normally of arba rakat. So here Islam, he prayed at the end of the Salat. Some people left, some remained. He moved and went to a different position in the Masjid. Then eventually he was brought to his attention that did he forgot or made an error, or is it something that have changed? Now, or the Salat have changed. Then he kind of somewhat went on to acknowledge that the Salat was somewhat that he made an error, and then he added to what he missed, and did Sujood Al Sahw, added to what remained. So we'll discuss some of the masail that relates to this. Some of the narration of the hadith that also mention that also in Islam, also in one of the Salat, that he prayed Asr Arba Thalatha Rakat in the Sahih Muslim. So you have another case that did not mention, but hadith that are similar, that mention that here is the hadith of Imran ibn Hussein, that here is that he prayed Thalatha Rakat, thinking that he had prayed Arba. Now, both two different situations. Now, but show that also the person sometimes, that in this case, that he prayed Thalatha Rakat, thinking that he prayed Arba. Now, and in this particular case of the hadith Abu Hurairah, that he prayed only Rak'atayn. So I mentioned concerning a case where a person prayed less than what is expected. As this hadith concerned a person, he gave the salam, he completed the salat before he actually he ended the salat before he actually completed it. So what is to be done regarding the person? He makes up, and then he prays Sujood Al Sahw. He makes up for whatever had been missed, and he prayed Sujood Al Sahw. And we discussed some of the benefits from that hadith. We had the point concerned that now if a person is praying, that and the person within himself believes that he has prayed a certain amount of number, that he goes what he believes until there's evidence to prove otherwise. And in this particular scenario, one person brought to the Prophet ﷺ attention, and he somewhat was still in favor of his own what he thought he did correctly, which was he thought that he prayed the salat complete. Then he put it to others, and then they mentioned that Dhul Yadayn, or the person, was more correct, and then he went and completed what was missed. So it shows regarding a person, sometimes that it says from this hadith, Aqadat al-Shar'iyya, or in the usul, in the ulma al-usuli, or usul al-qawad al-fiqhiyya, or qawad al-usul, that al-yaqeen la yazal bi-shak. That a person is sometimes a person that you are convinced about something, now it is not removed by doubt. So what you are certain of is not removed by something that is somewhat doubtful. It takes to remove something which is certain with something certain, not by something which is unclear or doubtful. So if you're clear about something, you're convinced about something shar'an, that you are not to leave that opinion until you have something that is also 100% certain. So doubt cannot remove something that which is, or should remove something that which is ash-shak. So the Prophet ﷺ, that point was brought up in this particular hadith. The hadith inside Muslim, it mentioned that Isa alayhi salam, when he prayed ثلاث ركعات, so the hadith inside Muslim, it goes as follows: and Rasul alayhi salam صلى عصر فسلم, that Isa alayhi salam, that he prayed Salat al-Asr, and he gave the salam في ثلاث ركعات, in the third rakat. Then they mentioned ثم دخل منزله فقام إليه رجل يقال له خرباق. So he mentioned the Prophet that he prayed Salat al-Asr ثلاث ركعات. Then he gave the salam. Then he got up and went to his house. He got up and what? Went to his house. Then a person called Khirbaq, then he came to the Prophet they called وكان في يدي طول, and the arm was somewhat long. Then فقال يا رسول الله فذكر له سمع, that he can somewhat remind him of what can somewhat would took place. فخرج غضبان, mean the Prophet خرج غضبان يجر ردعه حتى انتهى إلى الناس. So Islam can somewhat, he was told, when he found out when he was told what happened, he went back to the people in the Masjid. Kind of somewhat فقال أصدق هذا, is that person correct? فقالوا نعم. So the people said yes, he's correct. You want to pray ثلاث ركعات for Asr, فصلى ركعة. So Islam pray only one rak'ah. ثم سلم, then he gave the salam. ثم سجد سجدتين ثم سلم. So he prayed the salat complete, those two rakat, or that one rakat complete with the salam. Now, then at the end he do sajdatay and Sujood Al Sahw. It consists of sajdatain. Now, and sajdat and Sujood Al Tilawa, Sujood Al Tilawa consists of one sajda. Sujood Al Tilawa, the Imam Allahu Akbar reading, and you read the ayat of Tilawa, of Sujood. A Sujood, but that is one sajda. Sujood Al Sahw is sajdatain. Now, so he made that. Then ثم سلم, then he gave another salam. Then he gave alayhi salam another salam. But this scenario and the hadith in the Sahih Muslim, now the hadith of Imran ibn Hussein, that Islam prayed Asr ثلاث ركعات. So sometime an error may occur in the first scenario, rakatain was prayed, in this case ثلاث ركعات. But he would complete what remained, an additional to whatever remained, then give the salam, do the sajdatain, and then give the salam again. So if you pray less than what you're supposed to pray, and you need to make up, then the way to do it would be, you pray that whatever extra to be done, complete as it would be, make the sujood al-sahw, then again give the taslim. So it will be two taslim in such scenario. Two taslim in such scenario. From the hadith also shows regarding that time, the Prophet they refer to the person al-dhul yadayn. That sometimes call a person by certain, like we said, name, nickname or whatever, if it done per se as a way concerning either to identify or describe a person, not in a way to belittle him or her. So not in a way of, you might call a person by a particular name or by a description, but it is not done by way of the person trying to do this in a way to belittle that person. Now, it is permissible. It is permissible by way of description or the like. So, they said that the circumstance indicates the person may do it, but a way concerned to discriminate. Now, call a certain type of name in a way of discriminating way. Then you can somewhat tell those scenarios. And when a person, maybe with your friends, you call a person a certain nickname, now out of joke, now, then that is a different scenario. So in those cases, it may be permissible, but to discriminate and to belittle a person, then it is not permissible. So those are some of the benefits I mentioned from that particular hadith.
Can you mention that point? Two taslim again? That's not what you mentioned.
Which are the?
You said something about two taslim.
Hey, so in a case, for example, one is praying the salat, and the person ended the salat with but he prayed less than what is expected.
Yeah.
Now, so an example, he prayed salat al-isha, but he prayed salat al-rakat and did the taslim, assalamu alaikum. By the end, whoever is praying said, no, you prayed salat al-rakat, not the complete thing. So in that case, the person would what? Stand up and pray one rakah, not pray the entire thing again. Now, and in that one rakah that is prayed, you prayed one rakah, at the end do his tashahhud, then give the salam, assalamu alaikum rahmatullah, assalamu alaikum rahmatullah. Then you say Allahu Akbar and go into sajda, as Sujood Al Sahw, and that will be done twice. Allahu Akbar, come up back again, Allahu Akbar, come up back again, then you do assalamu alaikum rahmatullah, assalamu alaikum rahmatullah. Now, so in that case it will be two taslim. Now,
I thought, sorry, maybe I'm misunderstanding. I thought like when you've done less than normal, then you do the Sujood Al Sahw before you do this taslim, and when you do more, then you do it after, and then do this taslim again.
As I said, some of the ulama, they kind of somewhat try to put it in a simplified way. I've kind of somewhat given that as a general guide, that a person who prayed less or did some type of, you missed something the salat, mean that you did some, then you pray the Sujood Al Sahw before. Now, and if it's something ziyada, then after. Okay, you come with the adding to the salat. But those principles are simplified way for maybe you understand, but by way of the Prophet's example and scenarios, it doesn't per se in all cases fit that.
So that way you just explain us how he did it in that
Yes, in that scenario. So some of the ulama that you try to copy the Prophet in the cases that he did it as he did it, and the cases where there is no clear guide regarding this regarding certain thing, then if it is deficiency, you go this way, and if addition, you go after. Now,
is it always two taslim then, or only in that situation? If you do taslim, if you do Sujood Al Sahw after the taslim, after the tashahhud, in that case that you just described, was it after the taslim you done the Sujood Al Sahw, then you done it again second time?
Yeah. So I said in this case you do the taslim, then you do Sujood Al Sahw.
Yes.
Then at the end of it you have to do again another taslim.
Is that just for this case here?
In this scenario. Okay. Now, so general concern, if the taslim in whatever scenario the person did the taslim before he did Sujood Al Sahw, then after Sujood Al Sahw there's another taslim.
Okay.
Now, so the person wants to do whatever scenario the person did the taslim. Then he went and did Sujood Al Sahw. At the end of that, he has to do another taslim again. Now, but in the case that he did the Sujood Al Sahw before the taslim, then all that taslim, one taslim is sufficient. Clear? Aywa. As we mentioned, a second narration inside Muslim regarding the Prophet of Islam, that he prayed, that the hadith of Imran was saying that he prayed 3 rakat. Now mentioned that he left the masjid and went to his house. Remember? He left and went to his house. So that there's the matter now that, but still he came back and prayed what?
Just one.
1 rakah. And he left, we can say, he left the premises of the masjid. He left the building of the masjid. Now, so the matter regarding a discussion between the ulama, that if a person was to leave the masjid, what's the time span in between that is appropriate for the person to just add what is missed or do the salat over again. For example, the person left, we prayed Maghrib in the masjid. Now, I will mention that some people in the hadith, they left. Some people remain. The one in the masjid just pray what remained, that's not an issue. Even if half an hour went by, they're still in the masjid, compound premises, and the masjid building, they can pray just what remain, make up for what remain. But the issue is granted the person wants to leave the premises of the masjid. Now, does that person then just make up what remains, or they have to what? Do the entire thing again? Now that becomes a next discussion between the ulama. Can you think what are the time span in between the act? So some mention that it goes back to the urf regarding whether and the if the urf, the custom of the people as to what would decide as to repeating, or you can make up what just remained. But if in a masjid, then it's sufficient based upon the hadith. There are those two cases. That one case, the Prophet was in the masjid and those with him, they only pray rak'atayn that remain. In the hadith of Abu Hurairah, in the hadith of Imran was saying that he left and went to his house. And then came back quickly, opened up his garment and came back, and he only prayed 1 rak'ah. Now, so the thing would be that it shows that he left the premise of the masjid, so the person who left the premise of the masjid in some scenario can still just pray what remains. If the person gone home, gone back to work, gone for lunch, you understand? Or hours have passed, does the person still have that concession? We use the word concession. Does he still have the concession to just make up what remain? Now, some owe that he can. Some owe that he can because he's only just making up for what was missed. As the salat is incomplete with just maybe 1 or 2 rak'ah. So that's what is required from him to make up. And some mention because of the time that had elapsed between that have gone, he should do everything over. Now, and that go back to ijtihad of that person, Allahu A'lam. To say this one or that one, you understand? So go to the office like it may vary one person what they may view it. Now, especially if the other salat hasn't come. Especially the other salat hasn't, you understand, come in and have been carried out. Then the person make ijtihad on that matter. Okay, we'll go to the next hadith. And the hadith we mentioned concerns what is referred to are labeled or referred to in the ulama of hadith khabar al-thiqa. Khabar al-thiqa. So how to work with information that comes to us. In ja'akum fasiqun binaba'in fatabayyanu. That if information comes, a general thing, the person tried to verify information. Now, so a person who's said to be a person who's credible, trustworthy in most part, come to us with information. Do I have to accept it as it is? Or can someone seek further clarity on the information that I've reached me by a person who I believe to be in general trustworthy? So in this case, when the Prophet ﷺ was informed, he still went on and verified from others. From the person who came to him that is deemed as a Sahabi to be trustworthy. So sometimes of the person seeking more clarity, questioning others, looking further into the matter, it doesn't necessitate that you do not trust the person. You understand? Or you don't value the person. Now, it's just that in certain things, because in your mind you're clear about certain things, you just want some maybe you are clear about certain things from what you older understood before on the matter. So to change your opinion, it requires something which is more convincing from what you have. Now, as in contemporary times, you find that they said in al-khabar al-thika, there are information, if I bring up information to you that Shaykh Fulan said such and such, then for me to question it, if I said it come from the person, even if that the person did say it, for you to question it is like as if you are disrespecting the Shaykh and questioning the Shaykh authority. But that may not be the case. It's just that for a person, some people may want clarity and look into the matter further and even ask others, even though to confirm the Shaykh. They say, but still may want more detail on the matter, more clarity based upon what he understands on the matter. He has a certain type, he has a certain understanding previously. So to change that view, there requires something that is convincing enough for him. So just say the Shaykh said it and then after accept it. You understand? It doesn't mean that because you may ask for clarity, mean that you're disrespecting the Shaykh and respecting the ulama in general. That may not be the case. Respect is still there for the Shaykh, but it doesn't mean that you have to accept everything from the Shaykh. And cannot ask for clarity. And also question others other than the Shaykh about the matter. Now, so the hadith can somewhat improve this point that all those things can be done. It varies one person to another. And in the hadith he mentioned another point that also concerning qawaid al-fiqh, concerning al-usul, regarding the hadith, that it mentioned in the hadith of Abu Hurairah anhu, that in the principle concerning Abu Bakr wa Umar, فَهَابَ أَنْ يُكَلِّمَاهُ, that they were somewhat, they said haba was out of respect, haba, out of respect, abahu, that out of respect, they didn't want, out of respect, sometimes you don't like to show that you're in opposition to a person. No? So sometimes you might have to be a father or a sheikh, and he may say something, but you may all different. Or you may want to question him right there and then, due to the respect that you have for him. Now, so sometimes we say that in certain masail that you find also that will be put in context that what you find is better in today's you might find a matters of mashaykh, and some of them may be deemed to be senior. Now, so that's those who are deemed to be senior might have a view, might be discussing with some people where they ask a question, and the more senior one or the ones who are deemed to be senior may give a fatwa on the matter. But others who may be equal senior or less senior but also qualified may feel a bit may not challenge or say something contrary to what was said, but they may not share that view. With me? So they might be there present, hear what was said by the person who's there, the other mufti, but they're equally qualified or qualified enough to respond, but may have a different view. But deem it maybe not appropriate for them to mention their view because of what was said. Because maybe the issue being discussed, the matter of ijtihad, and that's an opinion. Now, so and the person who's asking, maybe a person who's a general person, I don't want to confuse him with this call, that call, and all of those things. So one view is enough for him, and that matter is the matter of ijtihad. And that ijtihad is within what is established or what has been mentioned from the ulama on that matter. Now, there's an example of the matter regarding that the person of prayed Salat al-Rakat, didn't pray the fourth, went home later on, right before Salat al-Isha, remember?
Yeah.
I only prayed 3 rakat, but he had home now. With me? So I said, no matter, concerning you have a general idea concerning what may be the view of the ulama. You understand? So then you can be your own what? Judge. So you might sit in a majlis and the sheikh said, okay, for example, is niqab wajib or not? With me? Is niqab, when a woman covering her face wajib? The sheikh, it is wajib. And he comes down, he gives his dalil and comes down very stern on that view. But you're there, but do not share that view. But that's the view. But you remain silent and didn't say anything. It doesn't mean that you are in agreement with what was said. You just decided, because the matter is known, the views are there, there's no need again to throw in my view and someone go back and forth. Now, so out of respect, you just remain silent. So it doesn't mean, you understand, that every time a person sits with the Mashiach or hears something and remain silent means that you're in full agreement. Or those who are present from the Mashiach of equal status are in agreement. You read me? Because you have things that goes on now, and people ask, we don't get the ulama talking about it. Why are they silent? Isn't it? This matter, burning matter, facing the ummah, facing this and that. Why the ulama silent? So if different people come with this. Now, but knowing that concern, maybe I believe that, you understand, the matter at this point is not something to delve in or be direct in trying to deal with it. He may do it in his own time, in his own way, in his own language. And you find, in most cases, if you look deep enough, you find that they do have a view, but may not be said the time that we want it to be said. Or on occasion you need to hear it. But it's there. You with me? So most of the things you see going on, even amongst the Salafi, you find that most of the Kibar ulama, they do have a view. But they may not word it the way that we expect. But generally, they'll show their approval or disapproval of certain things based upon the time that they believe is suitable for those things to be discussed. Now, and also it shows regarding that a person can correct an alim. It shows also that a person who's less qualified can correct a person who's more qualified, as in this case. Now, so ilm is not something which is become in a that like instead because it is the monopoly of particular individuals as the ulama. Yes, in the most part, but it doesn't mean that an individual from amongst them cannot be corrected by someone who's less qualified. Now, so they have respected for the ulama, they have the information, but it doesn't mean that in some cases that they cannot be corrected, and also that they can fall into error. As in the case of Prophet Islam, he fell into error. And not every error is looked at the same way. Not every error is looked at in the same, given the same treatment. Some error is done, or some error mistake is done by way of the person out of an error. Not intended, but it happened. The person intended something, but something else occurred. Now, so the person gets, so in this case concerning mistakes, errors, sahw, if they occur, then the person tries to correct them immediately when it comes to his attention. When the person falls into an error, try to correct it immediately. If the person said something that should not be said to the public in matters of the deen, then when you know that you're falling into error, correct it immediately. And depending on what platform that information went out. If it's everywhere in the dunya, then you need to go back. If it's on YouTube, you mentioned something that's clearly error, then go back on YouTube and clarify the matter. With me? If sometimes you wrote something to be written to clarify the matter, but get the information out that you made an error. To those who need to know, as in some things, you don't need to tell everybody in the dunya, because maybe 5 people alone know. Only us in this room know what happened. So you need to go out to the entire dunya, and can someone get them involved in something that may not concern them. Now, and that's the thing that the fitna of this time, because of YouTube and internet and all those things, sometimes matters. You find it a lot. Today someone sent me an information that one sheikh said something about another sheikh. So some people asking, but it's like in a majlis in his house, I believe. But now the matter is on internet, all over the dunya. Maybe that discussion, the sheikh didn't intend for it to go viral. But everything is said now, it goes viral. And that's created even more for fitna, where some things it's just between the people who know. But because they've gone viral, those who don't know, it doesn't concern them, they get involved. And I think I said that in the majalis that are done private, keep it private. The majalis, you have someone else going to visit the sheikh, and certain things between yourselves, you understand, discussion, no, keep it between yourselves. And this is the real great reasons of benefit for everyone that you should make it go viral. With the permission of the sheikh. And that type of amana you don't find today as much. You understand? So private majalis, especially things that can be very sensitive, then the person, you understand, as one person, the sheikh have a responsibility regarding his response. The listener have a responsibility regarding information that he takes and how he understands it. Now, and also the general people regarding if the information reach you, then know what concerns the general people. That everything the sheikh said need to go public. And everything goes public, do you need to be a part of the information? Do you need to be involved in that information? Does it concern you? You with me? So that everything that is out there, we need to know. Because it may not be our concern.
In regards to what you said about if someone makes a mistake, they should make it public straight away. What if, for example, like myself, a layman's in a class or whatever, and I hear that the sheikh's made a mistake? Is it something I should address privately and then wait for him to do it, or I should just say, "Oh shit, blah blah blah"?
That varies.
The etiquette.
The etiquette may varies.
Yeah.
You understand? That's not in the Dars, but the person said in the lesson, it can be addressed or brought to the sheikh attention there in a form for a question.
Yeah.
But it's it is done.
Yeah.
You understand? So the Prophet said, Julia says, no, anasita aw qasart. Is it you have forgotten or it has changed?
Yeah. Yes.
You understand? So it's how the person, you understand, bring it to the person's attention. You understand? So something can be, not said, so you're trying to be indirect. Because the person of respect, the Prophet of Islam. So we see the ulama in that way, and our teachers. So it's now how you kind of somewhat, in some case maybe it can be done private.
Yeah.
You understand? But if it's going to be done right there and then in front of others, then it's doing it in the best way possible, with showing respect.
Yeah.
You understand that, Sheikh, you just make a mistake. And I started with Sheikh Fran, he said different from what you just said. Why you're saying this? That's not befitting.
Yeah.
And Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, in his Arba'in an-Nawawiyah, I've got a hadith that he's discussing, but he kind of mentioned these things in length. You understand concerning, if you come to a person, come to your person, attention, the sheikh have made an error, how to go about correcting it. Not go to it and you're trying to challenge him. And you're miskeen. You understand? So there's an etiquette regarding doing of those things. At the end, you want good for the person. But if you go to try to throw it on a person's throat, then it becomes, that's the person's nature, it becomes difficult for him just to take it from you. And some other thing I discussed, mentioned regarding that particular hadith. What hadith comes next? Imran ibn Husayn. Ibn Rajab, he mentions, Ibn Rajab to end that hadith says, هذا رواية تدل على أن الخروج من المسجد لا يمنع البناء على الصلاة لمن سلم النقص. So Ibn Rajab rahimahullah, he mentioned that, based on what you mentioned, the Sahih Muslim hadith, now the person left the masjid, that it shows, he mentioned that this narration is an evidence or is a proof that the person leaving the masjid, it doesn't stop the person from making up what his salat was deficient in. Now, so the only thing is what time span in between when a person leaves the masjid and all that would decide that a person make up or redo the salat. Aywa. And Imran ibn Husayn, next hadith. What's the next hadith?
Narrated Imran bin Husayn radiallahu anhu, Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam led the companion radiallahu anhu in prayer and forgot something. He then made 2 prostrations and then said the tashahhud and uttered the taslim salutation, reported by Abu Dawood and At-Tirmidhi, who created it Hasan, and Al-Hakim, who created it Sahih.
And this hadith that is mentioned here is regarding of those masahil, or those matters that relates to at-tashahhud. And this is regarding concerning hukum at-tashahhud ba'da sajdatay sahw. That is to discuss this hadith regarding after giving the sujood al sahw. Before one gives the taslim, does one also again repeat the tashahhud? Now, so in this scenario would be, for example, the person before giving taslim, do the person again repeat the tashahhud? So that's concerning what is to be discussed in this particular hadith. And it mentioned a hadith concerning the Prophet that he prayed with them, the companions, فَسَجَدَ سَجْدَتَيْنِ, and he made an error, and he gave the sajdatay ثُمَّ tashahhud. Then he gave the tashahhud ثُمَّ sallam. Then he gave the salam. So the hadith highlighting that sujood al sahw are occurred. Now, then he gave the tashahhud, then gave the taslim. So from this hadith is in the Abu Dawood with Tirmidhi وحسنه والحاكم. In discussing this hadith, the hadith generally is authentic, but there's a discussion between the ulama regarding when I mentioned that Islam prayed, made an error, gave the sujood, thumma tashahhud. That tashahhud that is mentioned again, that is mentioned here, is on the discussion. Is it a part of the hadith or not? With me? Everyone with me? The tashahhud that is mentioned in the hadith, that he made the tashahhud after what? Sujood Al Sahw, before the taslim. That's additional tashahhud. Is it to be done or not? So this hadith mentioned an additional tashahhud before the taslim and after sujood Al Sahw. A discussion, is it correct or not? Is it a part of the hadith, this wording, thumma tashahhud? Is it a part of the hadith or not? With me? I'll mention sometimes you find a certain wording, sometimes you find a wording maybe there, or a sentence in the hadith where just that alone is a discussion regarding, is this a part of the hadith or not? Is this to be included in the hadith or not? Is it mentioned there by error or is it mentioned there correctly? With me? So remember this, bear this in mind. A hadith, it being studied by ulama of hadith. They study each of the narrators. The Sahabi is not studied if it is confirmed that he's a Sahabi. He doesn't need to go through anything else. Want to know about is adala, is trustworthiness. But everyone else is under this scrutiny. With me? So in the chain of individuals, everyone has to be scrutinized as narrators. Regarding, we said 2 matters, what? Their adala and their adala is their trustworthiness, and the second matter is their
ability to memory.
Their memory, the ability to retain the hadith correctly. So those things each person is weighed up on. Your adala, trustworthiness, credibility, and the second, how precise is that individual in retaining the information he received. So everyone goes through that. Like I said, once the people don't go through that, who are they? The Sahaba. After confirming that they are Sahaba. Now, so and the second bit of the criticism of the hadith, will be the actual then text of the hadith. But the bulk of everything goes back to the narrators. The bulk of hadith study goes back to the narrators. Some narrators are thiqah, but doesn't mean that they are perfect and infallible. A person could be the most precise in this particular topic, but he can make mistake, and they have made mistake. And sometimes the mistake could be just the entire hadith, or could be just a sentence or just a word. Sometimes a person can make an error in the hadith. It could be an entire sentence, an entire
Word.
or a word or a sentence, the entire hadith. So you find that a person is a liar. So the entire hadith is dismissed. He's a kadhab. The entire hadith is dismissed. The person is da'if, then a hadith also automatically dismissed unless there's other reasons to strengthen it. Hadith may be authentic, but there's a portion of the hadith that is mentioned, the entire hadith, some aspect of the hadith is under criticism. But other people there are trustworthy, credible individuals, known for good memory. But one particular wording or one sentence or part of the hadith is under discussion. Is this actually a part of the hadith or not? And this is one of those cases. I will mention a few of those before. So the word tashahhud, so you can circle like the tashahhud they mentioned, that bit is under discussion. Thumma tashahhud. It's under discussion regarding is this a part of the hadith or not.
And this is a tashahhud after the tashahhud al-akhir.
No.
So it'll be an additional one.
It is additional tashahhud. It's an additional tashahhud. Aywa. So it's an additional tashahhud. So I will mention before that they mentioned that ziyada, this additional tashahhud, is actually a ziyada mentioned by one narrator where the others did not mention. So his other colleagues didn't mention this, but only him alone mentioned this. He included this where everyone else with him didn't mention this. So is he more studious, more accurate than they are? Or did he make an error? So either he's the one who got something they did that retained something they missed, or he added something to what everyone else had. He mentioned something contrary to what everyone else received. With me? So this is one of those scenarios. So they mentioned this as being shadh. That ziyada or munkar, they consider that ziyada, that additional information that's concerned, they mentioned the person Ash'at, he mentioned this where everyone else didn't mention this. So that becomes a matter to be looked into. And that's what the precise Ibn al-Hadith. If a person stands out and mentions something that others didn't mention, then you need to review that entire case again. So you have a hadith being discussed, 10 people in the room, one person mentioned something that the other 9 didn't mention, they need to review that case again. Go through everyone again. Investigate the case again to see why did that one person mention information that the other 9 didn't mention. Is he correct in that information? In some cases he could be correct, and you have those cases. And in some cases he's incorrect. He has made the errors on him. Type. So it becomes an area that has to be studied separately in more detail to see is there an error or not an error. And that's the fine areas of ilm al-hadith that few people stand out on among the ulama of hadith. So you have the ulama of hadith, and the ones who master this are just a handful. Because each hadith is studied on its own. Every hadith is studied on its own. Not as a group, but individually.
So like situations like this, where this book's been printed now, are the ulama of hadith still looking into these things, and they have like a separate...
Everything's still being looked over.
They're still looking into, and then...
Still being looked into.
Yeah.
So every generation, these things are being revised.
Yeah.
So every person who's said to be a muhaddith, he has to go through his own process of going through everything on his own, not just depending on what was as passed on. You have some people take what has been passed on. That's the bulk of us. With me? So I said today, in today's time, a bulk of us, Sheikh Albani name is mentioned in Khalas. Isn't it? Albani, Sheikh Albani, the hadith is authentic, Khalas. Go to bed and sleep and have dream that hadith was authentic. Now, But that's Sheikh Albani's own study and work. That he went through all that he did and come to his own conclusion. Then there are another set of people who are, during his time, did their same research, the same hadith, and may come to a different conclusion. Like Sheikh Muqbil, the Arnaut type, so they have to do their own independence and not depending on others. And that's the beauty and that of the condition of being a mujtahid. You don't depend on what other people have to say, you look to what? You do your own study and research. That's the highest level concern of a person, the mujtahid of high level of scholarship. You have to do your own grasp, you have to do your own work. So they have to do everything again from the start. And the same thing, you have people now doing the same thing. The next set of muhaddiths after Sheikh Albani will go through everything again on their own terms. Now there's different.
Another book will come out, right?
Huh?
And then another revised version.
Now I said this, but the books of hadith in general. Sunnah Abu Dawood, At-Tirmidhi, Ibn Majah. A person wants to stand out as a muhaddith and be called a muhaddith, he has to do his own work and go through those works again on his own to check all the hadith. That's the price that comes of being an alim. Now, as mentioned by Yahya ibn Kathir, لا ينال العلم براحة الجسد. You cannot attain knowledge by resting. Meaning, and so to attain knowledge, it requires work. To attain knowledge requires work. Adhan matasha, whenever. So that's concerning that matter.
How much longer were you planning to go on for?
And because this main, just a few minutes, because this was just the main thing concerned. So the main shahid that based upon this, the hadith, that we said that extra tashahud is not needed, is not to be done, because the narration that mentioned is da'if, is weak. So the person after doing Sujood Al Sahw, then he just goes straight into taslim. Goes straight into taslim without doing the tashahud again.
So it's going to be like a third one.
Hey, so for example, the person in the salat and there is tashahud. Now, he's in tashahud, but he made an error. Now, and he says, Allahu Akbar, and go down. Now, so you go down with him. Allahu Akbar, come back. Allahu Akbar went down again, and he comes up again. He does, Assalamu alaikum. Right? So he doesn't go into a tashahud again. Even though it said this tashahud, that we just said the first example, there's no taslim until the right end, until the end itself. With me? So is there tashahud? An error occurred. He missed tashahud al-awwal. Now, so reach the tashahud and do everything else. Then he says, Allahu Akbar, and go down. Because he's doing Sujood Al Sahw. So you do Allahu Akbar, go down, then come back up, and it is Sujood Al Sahw, the normal azkar are mentioned. With me? So he come back up. So now he's in his sitting position. He doesn't go back into tashahhud again. He just gives the salam. Now, a second scenario case, in the salat, made an error. Now, and now he give assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Then give the salam, taslim, and then goes into Sujood Al Sahw. Now, up, down. He doesn't go back into tashahhud again. He just give the salam, and he's out. Now, so after Sujood Al Sahw, there's no need to repeat tashahhud. In whether it is before the taslim or after taslim. After Sujood Al Sahw have been completed, it's just taslim again. No tashahhud. That's the shahid. So that's concerning. So that's the view of the Jumhur of the ulama, based upon the hadith here being not authentic.
Who was the person in the question in the chain of narration?
Ash'ath. The Fadl Ash'ath.
Is it the entire hadith or just that portion?
Just that portion. That's that wording, that's that one wording.
And which, do you know which scholar said it was excluded the word in?
Comes yeah, people consider that Mizan was by Ibn Hajar. Now Ibn Hajar, of those who have mentioned that, you find on others, Al-Bayhaqi, Ibn Hajar, Al-Munziri, of those somewhat, that mention that as for that wording, it is Shad, is considered to be Ziyad Shada, Qala, Ibn Munzir, Al-Bayhaqi, wa Ibn Hajar, that they are all listed to be Shad. Ibn Abdul Barr also state the same thing, and others. Hey, so that's the shahid from that hadith. That's the shahid and the main masala from that particular hadith. So that inshallah ta'ala, we'll now get ready for the salat inshallah.